Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. It's now a Saturday preview, but day four of Royal Ascot is over. The last day is ahead of us, and we're joined by a full panel here. Michael Smith? Who the hell's Michael Smith? Michael Andrews, Adam Webb, and Callum Adele, myself, Luke Elder. Just a quick review of today. We mentioned before we came on the show Eagle Top, and Adam, I know, wanted to talk about him at length. So, what did you make of Eagle Top, Adam?
He was very, very impressive. I know he came into the race the lowest rated horse in the race, but the way he came out of it was just unbelievably good. There was talk of the ledger, and I agree with John Gosden though when he said to keep him at 12 furlongs. And races like even the King George, if he got supplemented in that, you'd give him a huge chance. I mean, yeah, he may still be slightly inexperienced, but I think he'll be a serious horse going towards the autumn and even for next year. So, really was taken by him.
And one horse that we're all emotionally connected with, we'll say, is Hillbilly Boy, who ran a blinding race in the last to come second. He's on the wrong, well, second on his side. He was wrong on the wrong side of the course. But was it 11th or 12th overall? But
13th he came.
13th, yeah. He lost nothing in defeat, did he? He ran a blinding race, to be fair to him.
Deserves a break now, and hopefully he'll come back and, yeah, well, he will come back, you know what I mean? He'll come back in the autumn and hopefully will continue his rich vein of form, so, yeah.
Air Gold Cup on bottomless ground. That's what I'm going for anyway. But
not a bad show.
The last day of Royal Ascot is ahead of us, and we start off with the Chesham, and it's a horrible start to the day, I think. Adam, I know you wanted to talk about Toscanini a little bit.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm going to go for in the race, because I want to avoid the O'Brien horse Dick Whittington. With the way his 2-year-olds have been running this week, I want to keep away from him. The Americans, I'm not convinced on Cordero and Crown Kitten. I just think that most of them that have been brought over based on speed, and I think 7 furlongs could stretch the pair of them. Toscanini's got some good form in the book. I mean, he was third on debut behind Capella Sansevera, who came out and ran really well on Tuesday in the I forgot the name of the race in the Coventry. And he was second then to Cool Company last time out. I think the step up in trip will help him at Shamadal. I think he could be the one to beat here.
Yeah, we were all a little bit confused by this race, but Toscanini obviously has form with some of the best 2-year-olds around at the moment. Michael, we'll come to you next for this.
Yeah, I have to disagree with Adam. Having looked at the pedigree, Cordero is actually bred to stay this trip. Half sister, half bridled, won Group 1, I think, over 9 furlongs, 8 furlongs, so should stay this far. Won between 6 and 9 furlongs anyway in her couple of races, and also being by, I think it's George Washington. Is it George Washington? Giant's Causeways. Ridden by Ryan Moore. I think that's very interesting, and I think Cordero. I know Candice was saying that this could be a very interesting horse. Wesley Ward normally does well with his first-time out horses. So I think you've definitely got to respect that one. The horse that I thought was a bit overpriced was Via Via, who Lope de Vega. His sire is more comfortable over about a mile, and I think Via Via is overpriced. I'm not quite sure why they dropped that one back in trip last time out when on soft ground behind Tiggy Wiggy, and only just got up over 6 furlongs. So I think 7 furlongs should be appropriate. Richard Hughes is on board, and I think those two would be my two, and I'm fairly confident actually. I don't think this is the strongest of races, so I think Cordero could make a winning debut. And if not, Via Via could pick up the pieces, and we all want to see another Clive Britton dance.
Yeah, same. Clive Britton amongst the winners today with Rosina. Me and Callum agree tentatively on one. I think we're going to put it with Justice Well. None of the Justices have gone in so far this week, Callum, so we're hoping Justice Well's the first one.
Well, yeah, it is a very tentative selection in
Yeah.
what I think is it's a pretty strange and pretty modest race. I mean, the favourite, Dick Whittington, probably deserves to be favourite. Aidan O'Brien is no stranger to winning this race. And he's impressed. He impressed last week when he won at Navan. That was his first time on fast ground, and it wasn't the best of races, but he fully deserves his chance at Royal Ascot. The two Wesley Ward horses, Cordero looks by far the most interesting. There's been a bit of support. There was a good bit of talk about him early in the week. He tries tongue tie and has blinkers on with Ryan Moore on board, but more importantly, he's bred to get this sort of trip, and I think he's a fascinating runner. And if he wouldn't have to be that good to win this, to be honest. Toscanini, pretty solid. some good form with Cool Company. Capella Stanzavero has taken, well, that Nace race has taken a couple of knocks in the week. Justice Well, I thought was fairly impressive on debut.
Yeah.
Chased down a decent horse in Burnt Sugar. The form hasn't really worked out in behind though, and that's what probably puts me off from the fact that I don't think it took much winning, and I think he'll have to improve a good deal. And Richard Pankhurst, I think, is worth his chance. The Hood put me off, but that race is working out really well.
Price wise.
He is price wise, and again, that would be enough to put me off.
Yeah, I've got a few I've got price wise in front of me. I've got Richard Pankhurst in the first. Forgotten Voice is also price wise. Music Master in the Diamond Jubilee. Rocky Ground and Glenn Moss in the Wokingham, and Peak Sue in the last. So, yeah.
Balls.
Now you know how it feels again, as Callum always says. Now you know how it feels.
He's taken Music Master, and I liked Music Master. We'll get
on to that. He's probably taken something that we all like tomorrow. So, oh well.
With just as well, just to go back on that, I think the form may not have worked out too well behind, but they were the two in front, Burnt Sugar and Just as Well, were a long way clear that day. So I think that form can be upgraded a little bit, and also Just as Well took a long time to sort of understand his job a little bit there. So I think he'll be much better for that run, and maybe the better ground as well, bring out a bit more improvement. But hopefully a race we've got a bit more of a clue about is the Duke of Edinburgh. And I sort of jokingly mentioned Aussie Rain, well, not jokingly, because I fancy a little bit to Callum, Aussie Reigns, but you're not keen on it tomorrow, Callum.
Well, I did say I'd give him a chance, Aussie Reigns. So he is a massive favourite of mine, has been for a very long time, and he's been running really well lately, and had a little bit of freshening up after April time. He had a fair little break, ran sufficiently well at over 10 furlongs at Epsom, but 12 furlongs seems his trip. He's not the easiest to win with, but 40-1 on his ground with his everything right, I think is a pretty fair price, and he's definitely going to have a couple of quid each way on him. I would recommend. The favourite, Arab Spring, very solid, looks potentially top class. I thought he was value for a little bit more when he won at York last time. So Michael Stout is a master at just slowly but surely improving these sort of horses, and he fully deserves to be favourite. Hammerland ran really well at Ascot last time out. I think I think the winner had the measure of him, and if he can improve, then he's got a chance. He's really well bred, but I think he's one who may need further. Groundbreaking, played up last time, but won really well, gone up massively in the handicap. So has the other Godolphin horse, Wadi Al-Hatawi, that's it. But he won really well at York, up £11, but I'd have him well on your shortlist tomorrow if he doesn't bounce from that. Bar that, I do like Elidor, who won at Royal Ascot. Was it last year or the year before?
Last year.
He won a handicap on his return at Thirsk off 92. He's off 99 tomorrow, but he just looks a horse that's progressed as a 4-year-old, and his third to Gatewood and Trumpet Major and Pether's Moon at Ascot. Yeah, if it's Trumpet Major, then he's got no chance. That third was a career best for me, and off 99 is off the same mark. I think he's worth taking as well. So Elidor is probably my main fancy of the race. I'm sure Adam will give him a good talk as well, and Wadi Al-Hatawi as well.
Yeah.
Oh my word, they're the same two I've gone for as well. Oh my.
I was going to say, Adam, Elidor lost his maiden tag at Royal Ascot last year, and you've been, I think, raving about it ever since. So.
Well, I wouldn't say raving about it ever since. I mean, yeah, I think there were a couple of times last season where I went with him, and there was one time at York on really soft ground where he wasn't his best run. Yeah, I put him up last time as an interest selection. I think you laughed at it, Luke. So he ran really well, I thought.
I usually laugh at a lot of things you say.
Yeah, you do. I said a couple of weeks ago I really fancied him for this race. I'm pleased he's here. William Twiston Davis takes 3 off, which I think is a help. Only slight concern I've got is the draw. I mean, he's drawn high and he's got to get across, but I think he is well handicapped, and Mick Shannon has said he could progress into a cup horse, next season, which I think is an interesting route that he could go down. Wadi Al-Hawati, Callum said as well. So it's hard name to say. I feel sorry for Simon Horton, whoever's got the course commentary at
Wadi Al-Hatawi.
Just call him Dave.
Yeah. Dave's a cracking horse.
Dave's a cracking horse, yeah. The way he won that York handicap for me was really impressive, and he was another that went straight into the notebook and into the tracker, and I think he can run a big race as well. one at a bigger price. I know it's not Epsom, but Beacon Lady, she's still on the mark of 96. I think she's still quite interesting, and she's could be overpriced in this. But yeah, Elidor is my main selection in this race. I think he's the one to beat.
Yeah, I think Elidor was one of your main fancies of Royal Ascot, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
And I think for the Naps competition that we're doing on Twitter, I think I'm going to have to put him as a Nap because he's quite a big price. And yeah.
No!
No.
That no is because... Does Michael fancy Elidor as well?
No. I'm saying no. You're not allowed to nap big price winners because my lead is just tiny.
Yeah, we should say that Michael is leading our current tipping competition for Royal Ascot. I think Ant Sherritt is in second. I'm back in third. I think how many points off you, Michael? 6, 7?
I think you're on 7, and I'm on. Oh, I'm not sure 16. Actually. But I think us 3 are the only 3 in profit. I think Callum, Sean, Adam, and then Tom. I don't think's actually had a winner apart from leading live.
There's an odds-on winner as well.
Yes, in Wob, yeah.
Yeah, you're about
If 100 to 1 winner tomorrow, I'll be amazed. But yeah.
Yeah.
Need one.
Well, interesting but Adam, I think, is minus £13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm not last.
just nap Aussie Reigns. I do think Aussie Reigns has got a good chance tomorrow. I think the fact that they is his first run back after a little break last time out. I think that will put him straight. The ground, I think, is a massive plus for him tomorrow. Adam Kirby usually. Am I right to say Adam Kirby usually rides him? No. Oh, he's ridden him in part. Okay, I was going to say that Adam Kirby's deserted him, but he hasn't. George Baker is a fine jockey booking. I just think at 40 to 1, as Callum said, there's just a far too big a price about him. You could say that there are 1 or 2 better handicaps, but Aussie Reigns, the horse, sort of been there, done it. And his Lingfield runs, I think, were more than adequate in fairly high-class races as well, so let's not forget that. As of the rest, I don't know, I'm finding it hard to be enthusiastic about the rest. I think Hamelin will probably be the best of the fancied runners. Just that run at Ascot last time, I think, was a pretty decent run. Completely different conditions tomorrow, so it'll be interesting how he fares in that. But for me, I'd take a little each way shout on Aussie Reigns, but we'll see what Michael was going for.
I struggle with this race, and I think, I don't know what it is, but I've been drawn to a big price horse. So I'll just go over the others, a few. Beacon Lady, I think, definitely drops in class here from the Coronation Cup. Jack Dern takes the ride again. He won on her 2 starts ago. Claims a decent £5. Hamelin is very unexposed and interesting, and it's a real mix here. You've got the few unexposed horses. The top one, Arab Spring, groundbreaking's pretty unexposed as well, and also Hamelin, and then you've got a lot of horses that are quite long in the tooth in comparison. My selection, and it's a very tentative selection. I find pretty difficult in this race. Is Eshtial down the bottom, who ran pretty respectably over this kind of trip, was behind Eliodor in the King George V last year, but then was 3rd at Ascot in September on good ground, and behind him that day had Cafe Society, Wadi Al Hatawi, also Eliodor that day as well, and that's a really, really decent race to take. On form angle. Since then, he's been running over 1 mile 6, which is far too far, especially on soft ground on his return to action last time behind Ted Spread, and could be ready to go here. I just think he's quite overpriced at around 33s, so I'll be having an each way on that one, on SDL. The others, I think Eliodor's got to be a danger, running well. Arab Spring's got a lot of weight for such a young horse, which is a worry for me. I don't like horses that are carrying that much weight in these kind of handicaps. But Havana Cooler.
He will have to be a genuine group horse to win this tomorrow, won't he?
And Havana Cooler I thought was interesting as well. But after a break, I'm happy to leave that one for the moment. But yeah, SGR at a big price I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah. You mentioned Cafe Society then. Callum, I haven't seen that race yet because I was tending to babies. How did Cafe Society run? Was it the usual way?
He didn't get a clearest of runs. I need to watch it again, to be honest.
Yeah.
But look, I think he will end up being a good horse, and maybe the race didn't work out today for him. And he was third in the end, beaten.
Yeah, I saw his third.
The 2 lengths. So, but he definitely didn't get the clearest of runs. It wasn't the greatest of rides, but he couldn't have done much else.
Fair enough. We're moving on to the Hardwicke now, and coming back to Callum, I said before this show, Peddler's Moon, how far? and you laughed and nodded your head in agreement with that. We've been waiting so long for Pethersmoon Moon to have this kind of ground again, and that price is a very big one about him, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very, very good price. Wasn't ready for his first run back in the Jockey Club Cup, Jockey Club Stakes, sorry, and was second to Gospel Choir, who's franked the form significantly in winning what was a really strong Yorkshire Cup, albeit beaten last time out by Gatewood, and that's not strong enough for him, even though Gatewood's won since it was a pretty weak race, but he was way too keen, and I just don't think he got home on ground that was more than soft enough for him. Faster ground is exactly what he wants. I think Connections will be really bullish tomorrow that this horse can really show his best foot forward. I mean, everything is right for him, and in a race where you've got quite a few nearly horses or horses that are very similar grade at this stage, I think he's a huge price at 11-1, and I really, really like him tomorrow. I mean, you've got Telescope's at the top of the market. 12 furlongs on fast ground might be what he wants. I mean, last time he got it, he won a great voltage and he did it in pretty decent style. I know the race didn't particularly work out well, and he always promised to improve as a 4-year-old. He's probably the one to beat because he is quite consistent. I mean, look at his form figures. He's a very consistent horse. Hillstar won the Key Edward last year. I just think I can't work out this horse. The form of that really hasn't worked out. I know he's probably his third to Noveliste in the King George VI is probably the best form on show, but since then, you know, he's not had that many excuses. Bar that, I don't know. I think Pethersmoon Moon has the measure of the rest of them. It's just the two stout ones that if they run to potential or a bit further, then they're clearly the ones to beat. But Pethersmoon Moon is more than double the price of them.
No, I
really like him.
I completely agree with you in that. I think I'm not sure about Hillstar after last time. I thought he should have won that fairly convincingly. But Telescope, we have to sort of take into account. And if I was saying, if you told me at the start of the season that I'd be saying this, then I'd have laughed at you. But behind Noble Mission the last twice, Noble Mission's now a Group 1 winner. I mean, it has to be taken now as good form, surely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Telescope is going to be better over 12. He's going to be better on better ground as well.
And that's what he's wanted the whole time, isn't it? Because we said the first two runs, okay, the ground might be against him. There's an excuse. Tomorrow is D-Day for him. He has to prove himself.
He does strike as a similar type to Harbinger, because Harbinger improved from 3 to 4, came on, won this. I don't expect Telescope to go win the King George by 10 lengths, though. But, yeah, you'd expect him to win tomorrow, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Also, a note on Hillstar, apparently Estimate was absolutely blitzing him on the gallop, so if Estimate's blitzing him on the gallops, I'd be quite worried about Hillstar tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair. But back to Pethersmoon Moon, I completely agree with Callum. I think that price is ridiculous. The Hannons and Connections were really, really bullish about this horse last year. It said it's going to make up into a really nice time. They brought him along slowly and just nursed him along his 3-year-old career, basically. And at 4 now, hasn't had the ground for the first 2 runs. I think tomorrow, everything falls into place for him. And 11-1, I just think it's a huge, huge price. And it's going to be, in the competition anyway, would be my nap. So I really like Pethersmoon Moon tomorrow. Michael, the nap to catch you, Pethersmoon Moon, are you siding with that as well?
I don't know. I'm not really part of the Pethersmoon Moon Appreciation Society, I have to admit. I've looked at his form, and I just think the fact he's been beaten by Gatewood both times, admittedly on ground that's probably softer than ideal, I just don't think that is going to, against horses like Campbell, like Dandino, who was placed in the Melbourne Cup, 5th in the Melbourne Cup, Joshua Tree, who's won the Arlington Million, Hillstar, who's run really well in the King George, and also Telescope. I just think he's got to improve still. I think he's definitely got to improve, and I think there's possible that he will, but I also think there's other proven horses in the race. I do like Dandino. I'm worried that he might need this return. I think Botti was in pretty decent form in the run-up to us, in the run-up to Royal Ascot this week, but hasn't had a winner all week, I don't believe. Campbell, I don't think I can have on this ground. Ektiham, I'm not a fan of. Neither am I a fan of Eye of the Storm. I'd like Forgotten Voice to do really well, but you have to be the first to admit that the races he won last year weren't, it was the Wolferton, which is decent but not of this standard, and then he won a Group 3, which isn't the most strongest form, I don't believe. He also had Johnny Murtagh for his assistance. But I think the most important form line with Forgotten Voice is the fact that My Tent or Yours beat him by 16 lengths. 4 starts to go. So that's obviously going to convert into Group 1 winning form. Telescope, I think, could prove to be a lot better on this ground, which he finally gets, and I think he is dangerous there. I wouldn't have him at 5-2 favourite, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I've kind of talked myself out of all of the horses. I'm not quite sure which one's good enough to win a Group 2. I'd normally go Dandino, but I don't know if he's going to be ready on this return. Forgotten Voice has got to step up, although has had a run. Gets his ground finally, which is important. And, I can kind of see where people will be going with Telescope, in fairness. He seems to be a pretty solid option. I don't think he's been out the first 2 in his life, has he? So, yeah, I can understand Telescope. I've really struggled. I've talked myself out of backing any single horse. We'll go with Telescope in the end. I think I'm going to agree with this ground. No,
I've ruled them all out, and I'll go with the favourite. Great.
Yeah, we'll go with the favourite, because Shahrastan should have probably been beaten by Sheikh Zayed Road last time.
I was actually going to come back to you on your words on Telescope. You said that should he be favourite and 5-2.
Yeah,
I thought yes, he should be that. He should be that price, I think. But
yeah, I haven't really.
You wouldn't want to invest a lot of your cash on him at 5-2.
Oh
I
no,
have a quick question for Michael.
I don't think I'll be back in this race. Although maybe I'll have a sentimental bet on Forgotten Voice, but Kieran Fallon taking over for Nicky Henderson, who could have a decent day, Nicky Henderson. But it's difficult. I don't see myself getting involved. Don't even get me started on Joshua Tree.
It's not Canada, you can't win. Adam, hopefully you're a bit more confident about one of this.
Well, I wasn't really. I actually quite like Forgotten Voice, and he's price-wise. I think he's already won it twice at Royal Ascot. I think he knows what to do at this meeting. Nicky Henderson, I think Henderson will have 2 winners tomorrow, and he's one of them. Yeah, Telescope's the favourite, but still, I need to be more convinced.
Yeah.
Forgotten Voice is my selection in this race, and I think he can win it. I mean, that run behind Matt Athos I thought was a really good run. I mean, I know First Mohican's not exactly come out and franked the form, but I thought of Ramal and
Well, in fairness to First Mohican, didn't you nap him that day?
No.
Or you really fancied him, didn't you?
No, not that day. I fancied him today.
No. Yeah. At Royal Ascot, I mean, when franking the form.
No. It was today I did, yeah, but that day at Newbury, no. Unfortunately, it was he didn't look right today, First Mohican. You'll have to watch the race. He just didn't look right. But a quick question for Michael: if My Tent or Yours was in this race, how far would he win by?
I'm going 15 lengths plus.
Oh, jeez.
Hard on the bridle being eased down, right?
Right,
Yeah.
winning the King George then, basically.
Obviously, fully extended about 40 lengths.
Even pulling as hard as he normally does in his races, yeah.
With the board as well.
Oh.
But okay, so moving on to the Diamond Jubilee, and not quite a horse of Black Caviar stature that's won this in the past, but I think it's only fair that we let Michael talk about Gordon Lord Byron first off before going to Callum's love affair.
Yeah, Gordon Lord Byron, what a horse! And I know when I wasn't on the flat racing to follow, Adam rightly tipped up Gordon Lord Byron for me as my main bet of the flat season for him to win the Sprint Cup at Haydock in early September. I fully expect him to do so unless unless My Tent or Yours turns up or something of a superstar quality, because Gordon Lord Byron is such a horse, and I'm so glad I backed him when he won on his first start in Australia. They've had so much fun with him. Tom Hope, the Hogans really owe him so much for this, and I've spoken to his stable lass Katie a lot on Twitter recently, and we also did an interview with her, and she's so down to earth. I really hope they run well. With this field, in over 6 furlongs, I'm worried that he may be a bit vulnerable, especially after he's had a bit of a break, but he ran respectably abroad. But I think he's got a lively chance, but he's probably about a right price, about 10-1. Of the others I love these kind of races. This is right up my street. Had a look at American Devil for the French, and I'm not thoroughly convinced. I think over 7 furlongs would have a much better chance. Was 5th behind Moonlight Cloud in the 4A last year, but that was on pretty soft ground, and has won the last 2 starts. But again, did quicken off a slow pace, but you'd still want him at 7 personally. He has won it. I think he has won at 6 before, but not at a Group 1 level. And I think I have to go with Slade Power, and I know Callum's love affair is going to be talked about a lot. I also think SK Love, you know, he ran plenty of times last year, so 4 days back again is no surprise whatsoever, and I think he could run well. I think 6 furlongs is more appropriate than 5 furlongs, and he ranged up for a while before, you know, just being a bit out sprinted. His tired old little legs, but I think SK Love is a bit overpriced, but I do think Slade Power is the one to beat.
Yeah, so coming into Royal Ascot, I think mine and Callum's big naps was Slade Power, and I don't think that's changed either way. So, Callum, you have got the board behind you, haven't you, with Slade Power? So let's hear it.
It's right here.
Yay.
Yes, like I said, I've been a fan of this horse for quite 2 flat seasons now. He just looks a better horse now. His return was really impressive. I know maybe Marek ran a little bit below form, but before then he won at York and won really impressively off a penalty. And he's certainly not beating very good horses no matter what. But the way he travelled and the way he just put the race to bed when he wouldn't have been fully fit, I think just suggests that he really is the real deal now. And he's been raised £4 in the official ratings for it, and it makes him the one to beat. Clearly, last seen over here at Ascot on British Champions Day when he beat Jack Dexter, that was Jack Dexter's first defeat at the time on soft or heavy ground.
And it was Jack Dexter at his best as well.
Say that again?
It was Jack Dexter at his best.
Yeah.
When at his best, 6 furlongs on soft, Jack Dexter is near unbeatable.
He was. I mean, he absolutely thrashed a listed field after that at Doncaster.
Yeah.
And, you know, a 10th beating 8 lengths to Lord Canaloa. I mean, that's probably one of the best sprinters we'll see for a very long time. There's no disgrace in that, and I was a bit surprised they went over there. But, yeah, look, I just think I say it again, I think he's the real deal now. And I think fast ground will be fine. I mean, he ran really well in the July Cup last year on fast ground. One to beat tomorrow. Aljama here. I think there's plenty of pace up there. I mean, Due Diligence likes to be prominent. So does Slade. Astaire as well, Music Master. There's a few horses that do like to be prominent. And if Aljama here just slips in behind, settles well, improves for his first run back with blinkers, then he could be a danger if they really make this a bit of a slog. And if it's a 7 furlong test, or 6.5 say, then he comes into it. But he's short enough. Gordon Lord Byron, I think he's respected, proper Group 1 horse. And there's a lack of them. Music Master, I thought, was overpriced. He went off far too quick last time out, beaten just under 4 lengths in a Windsor race, which rocky ground won, but he was just up with a really, really strong pace, and he can be excused it. And I think he probably needed the run again, apparently. So he's the one at a price that I think could outrun his odds. And SK Love, as mentioned before, could run well as well. But it's all about Slade Power. I know I've gone on, but Slade Power.
Yeah, I'm too with Slade Power. I was so impressed with him that day at the Curragh when beating Marek, and it was a race fit Marek as well. So the way Slade Powers went for his race, I think Callum used the term the real deal now. I think I couldn't agree more with him on that. There's not actually a lot that I can add to what Callum said about Slade Power. I don't think the ground would be a problem for him. He's one on good to firm, he's one on good. So I don't think he's a soft ground horse. I think he's just one of them unlucky horses that can handle soft ground and has been branded a soft ground horse as a result, much like Brown Panther. One of the dangers, I think, Astaire could go very well. Adam, that was a
nod. Yeah, it's a nod.
Oh, it was a nod. Oh, okay, right. For me, it looked a bit more like a. But ran so well last time in a race that not a lot got into really. I think I'm going to be stealing Adam's horse here. So no, you're not. Okay, but
I'm on Slade Power as well, like you two.
Okay.
So
I think Slade Powers is such a good thing tomorrow. I've been trying not to use that term, but I just can't see any way around him. But Astaire I'd have down as the biggest danger. As of the rest, I'm not really sure. I'm baffled as to why Torhid's running here, but hey. Adam, we're coming to you for the Diamond Jubilee.
Well, I think Slade Power, this is his chance. He's going to finally, or hopefully, win his first Group 1, and he deserves one. He looked such a different horse at the Curragh. It was so impressive that day. For me, he's the one to beat. Astaire, I'd say, is his biggest danger with the 3-year-old weight allowance. He ran a really good race at York last time out behind Marek. Gordon Lord Byron, I think, will need this, and I think potentially wants off the ground. I'm not sure about Aljamahr here as a sprinter, if I'm quite honest. I mean, he could go and prove me wrong tomorrow, but I'm just not convinced. There's two bigger prices that I do like as well. I mean, SK Love is one of them, and I won't really waffle on about him, but I thought his run in the King Sand was quite an eye-catching one for a horse that I think will be better at 6. And also Medician Man, who has been so consistent recently, and I thought his 4th in the King Sand was a really good run. And Connection seemed to think this is a weaker race, and he's going to run a bigger race here. So I think at 16 to 1, he could potentially be the each-way value of the race. So for me, I'd say Slay Power wins, but the each-way selection would be Medician Man.
It probably is a weaker race than the King Stand. I think the King Stand really hot race this season with Soul Power, Hot Streak. You know, I think they're right on that front. And the way he ran, you'd have to imagine 6 furlongs.
His last few runs, though, he's in the form of his life. I wouldn't put you off having a bet on him each way at 16s. I think that's a great price.
I completely agree with that. But moving on to the next 6 furlong race, the Wokingham, which is a bit tougher. We can't just say, yeah, that's a good thing, that's going to win. Beforehand before this video, I had my selection down, and then Callum corrected me because I was thinking about the wrong horse. I got Professor and Producer mixed up, so that put a big knock on my fancies. Adam, we've just heard from you. Well, your fancy for the Wokingham?
Well, there's a couple that I like in the race. I mean, today we saw in the Buckingham Palace again that the near side group were winning, and it made me think that 2 that I originally liked in the race because they're drawn on the far side. Well, Glenn Moss is 1, who's also price-wise drawn 2, and York Glory drawn 11. I mean, York Glory is a hold-up horse. And I said this yesterday as well, I hope that some of the jockeys will take the initiative and go straight to the far side, because I think if they do that and they inject some pace, Callum said before the video he doesn't believe there's much difference between the near side and the far side if they actually inject pace over there. Which will probably bring me on to a point later about one of the riders I saw in the Buckingham Palace, which was a bit... I said it before off air, but it wasn't the best. The one on the near side that I really like is Absolutely So, who won at Goodwood last time out, and he beat Jack's Revenge in really good style. I think the step backing trip isn't an issue. Oisin Murphy takes the ride. I think of the near side lot, I think he's the one to beat over that side. I do like York Glory, as I said, and I do like Glenn Moss as well. York Glory, I mean, Jamie Spencer, I'm not going to say he's having the best week. I mean, he's ridden, I think, at least 2 seconds, and he'll have to get his timing absolutely spot on. And I know that there was one race last season at Beverley which me and Callum cannot bear over 5 in the Beverley Bullet or the Beverley Sprint anyway. But yeah, the main selection would be Absolutely So. But I think York Glory, even off a big weight like that, these handicaps are made for him. And I think Glenn Moss is also worth a small investment, even though he's drawn on the far side.
Yeah, Callum, for you?
I really like Absolutely So. Followed him on the all-weather throughout the winter, and he looked at a horse to follow as soon as he won at Lingfield, and he won ahead, but he just looked like he had a ton in hand, and the fact he's now £23 higher suggests that I was probably right that day, even though he's only won once since. Yeah, just some really strong form on the all-weather, but when he returned to turf, he just looks a totally different horse, and that win last time out, albeit over 7 furlongs, was extremely impressive, beating Jack's Revenge, who is a horse that always is knocking on the door in these sort of races, and he just made a mockery of the race off his mark. I just think tomorrow he'll be too strong for them. Oisin Murphy taking off another 3. He's got a favourite's chance, and there's horses I think at the front of the market are quite false. I mean, Ninjago again is another one that knocks on the door, but he's best fresh, and was that his best effort last time out? I probably think it was. He will be suited to Ascot though, but he's had his chance, and look at the prices he's been, and he's been beaten. So I couldn't back him as favourite tomorrow. Rocky Ground or £5 higher, that might be enough, but he was really impressive last time. Talking about the pace, like what Adam said, it wouldn't surprise me if the far side would be fine to beat tomorrow, because there's plenty of pace there, particularly with horses like Hamza being drawn quite low. But I do think the far side will have the advantage, whatever. I mean, you've still got a lot of pace on that side. TrinityElite.com and Zero Money in particular will go forward. I like Don't Bother Me at a price at 25s. He ran pretty well behind Rennie Mattis at Newmarket 3 weeks ago on a real slipping mark compared to what he was when he was trained in Ireland. Ran quite well in the Victoria Cup. Maybe the trip is a little bit too short for him, but fast ground is what he wants, and he was beaten only 6 lengths in the Jersey last year. So yeah, I like him. Don't bother me. And at other prices, Hoof It may be worth a chance. I know he's going to come back to form soon. So Hoof It and Dandy Boy of the older ones. But yeah, I'd have a saver on Hoof It. Sorry, is that yours?
Yeah.
Is it?
I just think Hoofit's been promising to come back to form.
Well, Michael Easterby was interviewed when Aitner won at York, and he said, "Did you have anything for Royal Ascot?" He says, "Hoofit, it's really coming back to form."
Yeah, it's just the thing is, I went to Lingfield. I think both of his runs over the winter. I just don't think Lingfield's his track whatsoever. I think he takes a little while to get going, and that sprint for home, I think he just gets going too late, and he proved that on both occasions. Then at Kempton last time out, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest, but TrinityElite.com has since franked that form, and TrinityElite.com has proved to be a really good horse, and it obviously turns up again here. But Hoofit, let's not forget, he was a Group 1 horse at one point, and a really solid Group 1 horse, taking on the likes of Bated Breath. But off 105, which is his last winning mark, 25 to 1, I think, is an absolutely huge price. Maybe after his last one he had a couple of problems, because he's been off for 84 days. Maybe he's just freshening him up after a winter campaign, but I've just been waiting for Hoofit to come back right, and I do think today is the day that he will put in a big effort, and 25 to 1 I think is a massive price about him. But I thought I was going to be laughed at by Callum for putting up Hoofit, so a pleasant surprise that I'm not being laughed at for that. Michael, your fancy for the Wokingham?
Yeah, I must admit I completely subscribed to the whole Hoofer argument. That horse really was top class at one point, and then just kind of dropped away. And if he has come back to his best, then he's got a serious chance. He's slowly dropping. Fallon's assisting. Yeah, it's decent. I must admit, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but I think Jamie Spencer could finally get a winner this week. York Glory was definitely needed his run last time. Won this race last year. Okay, from £5 lower, 9 stone 2 last year. But I think he's ready for this kind of race. If there's a hard luck story, you can bet your bottom dollar it's Glory. But if not, then I think he should get this. I just think that he's probably been primed for this kind of run. I think there are some really good horses that have got lower weights, but I just think he could be. I think he is group class, definitely. So we'll see. I think that it's very likely that you're going to get a hard luck story on him. Of the others, I agree with absolutely so. Could give O'Shea Murphy his first Royal Ascot winner. Also, Glenn Moss, that form would be franked by Louis the Pious, who won earlier today. Shame Sir Maximilian didn't get in, actually, because the trainer quite fancied that one. He said he wasn't fit last time at Chester, so that could be one to watch out for next time out.
That was in the sales, and I think withdrawn as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah, top weight, but he was drawn once. They obviously saw the stall and thought,
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Nah.
Yeah, I think I'd be going York Glory. I don't think I could put much money on him because Jamie Spencer and his kind of tactics. I was so glad I didn't back him that day at Beverley because that was painful to watch. But hopefully he'll get a free passage, and I think he has got the quality. Hoofit's definitely a danger should be winning it if back to his best, with the Bated Breath kind of form. Glenn Moss is price-wise, I believe, but should run well. I respect that one. And absolutely so's the unexposed member of the field, really, in comparison to the others. Seeking Magic's probably going to run his race, but probably not win. I don't think he has for a while. Yeah, that's all I've really got to say about it. I can't really have any solid bet at the moment. I think I'm really leaning towards York Glory, but I think Jamie Spencer's probably going to break my heart.
The thing is, can I make a quick point again about York Glory? We always say he's a group horse in a handicap. Can you imagine if there were group handicaps where you could get group horses in type races? Because I think York Glory is just one of them that loves a big field and loves something to aim at. Whereas in a small field group race, I just think he's more. He likes cover, and in these big field handicaps, he gets them, and I think he's good enough to still win these races as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But they got the run into him, didn't they, to put him right for for today, which is the main thing. But I just had a horrible thought about our naps for later on.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that we're all going to go for the same horse.
Yeah, I have that feeling as well.
Because I know me and Callum are going to go for the same one. And by the sounds of it, Michael's going for the same horse.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
And Adam, are you going for the same horse?
No.
Oh.
Well, I can if you want. We'll just make it an on the other hoof nap and be really boring.
I just had a horrible feeling that we're all going to go for the same horse. But moving on to a race that I don't think we're napping in, the Queen Alexandra, the last race, and it's a long week, so we end with the longest race of the whole week. And Peak Sue's been price-wise. I really fancy Peak Sue tomorrow. I think this was going to be one of my bets of the week as well, and it's significant. Ryan Moore is booked on board. Michael, Peak Sue, do you get that chance?
Yeah, Peak Sue looks dangerous, doesn't he? Especially with Ryan Moore, Willie Mullins that won this a couple of years ago, with Simonon, who obviously went on to be a very, very good horse. A good stayer who was placed in the Melbourne Cup last year. I think there's a lot of strength in depth in this, actually. You've got, no, I can't even think of the horses. Whiplash Willie, Tiger Cliff, Brass Spring isn't a bad horse. I haven't really decided what horse I'm going for here. Whiplash Willie, that is a great training performance by Andrew Balding to get that one to win at Salisbury 2 starts ago, and then ran really well behind Brown Panther in the Henry II. I thought that was a pretty solid renewal of the Henry II, probably one of the most strongest we've seen in a while. Then obviously Peak Sue, I've already mentioned about the Ryan Moore Mullins joining up. I know someone fancies, I think it's Dan Kimmett, I think, fancies Royal Irish Hussar, but he fancied him in the Triumph as well. So we know where he.
Well, in fairness, there are no hurdles in the way because he doesn't jump very well. So there are no hurdles in the way. That's got to be a positive.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's definitely got a live chance, and I think a lot of them have. Tiger Cliff obviously won the Evil last year. This is a really solid race. I just think Whiplash Willie could potentially have the best form line at the moment with Brown Panther, etc. I think that one is slightly overpriced in comparison to the others. Tiger Cliff definitely deserves to be favourite, but was behind Whiplash Willie last time out. And I don't know. I just think Whiplash Willie could be the one to go with. Cheap pieces are added for the first time as well, which could eke out a bit more improvement. So yeah, Whiplash Willie for me.
Yes, as mentioned, I really fancy Peak Sue. And let's not forget, Peak Sue was all but gone and had left us after a serious bout of colic, and then made a miraculous recovery. And we've only seen him since once, and that was at the Curragh when coming 5th 27 days ago. And that day he was coming there travelling so well, got edged out, and then it turns out he had absolutely nothing left, which is no disgrace because he'd been off for quite a while. Beaten 12 lengths today behind Thomas Edison, which again was a good run. The distance, I don't really see it being as much of a problem for him. I think he stays very well, and I think he did have a hurdles as well. 1 over a mile 6, so very easily to add to that. But I just really fancy Peak Sue tomorrow. I think it's one of the bets of the day, not as much as Slay Power, but I'm annoyed price-wise it's got it, if I'm perfectly honest, because it's about 8 to 1 into about 9 to 2, 5 to 1 now, but that's still a betting price. I mean, the fact that he's got so much to find in the ratings, I don't really read too much into. 96, the top-rated Tiger Cliff is 112. I think he's a much better horse than 96, if I'm perfectly honest. And I'm just really finding it hard to see past Peak Sue tomorrow. And I know, Adam, you were taken by his reappearance, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, because he doesn't like soft ground. So that's why I was really taken by the performance. Just thinking that you mentioned his rating, and now I've just realised why if they wanted to, they couldn't run him in the Ascot handicap, because it's a 0 to 95. And he's on 96, so yeah, he probably got balloted out of that.
No reason as any not to run it.
Could have put him in a claimer in, surely.
Yeah,
Because I was literally going to ask the same question. I was like, if he's off 96 tomorrow, he's going to have to be, nearly a stone higher to win, I think, this race. Or just about. So you think if he is that good enough, then he would have absolutely smashed that race on Tuesday.
Yeah, but then even off 96, then again they would have had an extra pound, wouldn't they? I don't know. It's weird because there was going off topic. There was some Cheltenham handicaps where horses were entered, but yet their ratings were so much higher. On his own as a god, rated 155, yet was entered in the Kim Muir, which is 0 to 145, which is a bit strange, but oh well. It's weird with Irish handicapping and then coming over here. This race, I actually quite like Royal Irish Hussar. Actually, I agree with Dan. I didn't in the Triumph because I didn't think he jumped well enough, but I just think 2 mile 5 on the flat, on his ground. Nicky Henderson, as I said earlier, I think he had 2 winners. I think this is his second winner. Jamie Spencer's on board. Now, that's the slight concern I've got, as I said earlier, with the week he's had. But you don't have to drop Royal Irish Hussar way at the back. I think his strong suit is his stamina. You could ride him, I'm not going to say in front, but you could ride him closer to the pace. I obviously have a huge respect for Tiger Cliff, who was my novice hurdler to follow, yet we never saw him over hurdles, and has posted 2 respectable efforts when he was 3rd in the Yorkshire Cup behind I forgot the name. Gospel Choir, who is it's interesting that he's not in Hardwicke. Actually, I just remembered because he talked about that race for him. He also attacked the flash on him there, and then he was 5th behind Brown Panther, and he stayed for me in the Ascot Stakes last year, so you can see he's got a winning chance. Whiplash Williams, I agree with Michael's sentiments that it's a training performance and a half to get him back, and the level he's running at. Brass Ring interests me, but I don't think he'll stay. It's just the fact he's been running over 1.5 miles, and that all of a sudden they're going up 9 furlongs, which I think it's an interesting move, but not for me. I know what Callum likes in the race. I will agree on him. I think that Statutory is a good each way price, but for me, I think Royal Irish Hussar is the one to beat. Before
going to Callum, I just want to do a little experiment. How many of us have followed number 1 London off a cliff?
I've not.
Yeah, he's back in. He's back on my cliff actually.
Yeah.
Because I was quite impressed last time.
Okay. And second follow-up question: how many of us didn't back him last time when following off a cliff?
Well, no. I wasn't on the cliff for a start, so
So many. There's just so many people that followed him off a cliff after the Maputo form. It never came right, and then last time I think it was first time Cheek Pieces stepped up in trip as well.
Yeah, it was the trip.
Absolutely scooted in, but he's got a lot to find tomorrow. Just that was my quick little experiment. I expected Callum to have followed him off the cliff as well, if I'm honest. But Callum, you fancy Statutory tomorrow?
Yeah, our good friend Mr. Will Bowler is Mr. Number 1 London. He's followed that totally off a cliff. I mean, he's fallen off a cliff.
I have to say, I am very guilty of doing that as well.
I haven't backed him much, to be honest, but last time I was impressed.
I think I napped him at Royal Ascot last year for a day.
Yeah, I think
that's how much I followed him off a cliff.
Yeah, talking about cliffs, Tiger Cliff. Nice little link there. I know that's. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that one. He was 2nd in the Ascot Stakes last year as favourite, progressed since into a really good stayer, won the Ebor, 3rd to Gospel Choir in the Yorkshire Cup, which is a really strong race, and he's the one to beat. PK Sue, as we were talking earlier, you're probably right, the fact he had a mark of 96 meant he couldn't run in the Ascot Stakes, and that would have been more ideal. I think everything's ready for a good run. I really like Statutory here. Last year he was with Mark Johnston, and I thought he could end up being a really good stayer. I know he's going to Godolphin, and that's usually, sometimes that doesn't work out for them, but with stayers, Godolphin seemed to do really well with them, and he was over in Maidan, travelling really well in a couple of races. I mean, turning for home in that race behind Cavalryman in that Group 3, he finished last, but he actually, turning for home, he looked the winner, and he just bombed out. Really good return to action, I thought, over 1 mile 6 at York on good to soft ground. Fast ground, I think, would be ideal, and when he won at Pontefract over 2 mile 2, I thought he was a potential top-class stayer, and I mean proper group stay, and I think this trip, this ground is absolutely ideal for him. I'm really quite sweet on him tomorrow at 12 to 1. It's a good race, though. It's one of the best renewals of this I can remember, and horses like Mubaratsa, Brass Ring, who'd shown promise before.
We haven't got Man Moose again, like last year. Oh.
No. So that shows how much better it is. Whiplash is going the right way, rated 79 in, well, he's been off for a while, but he's rated 79 when, well, that's his 5th run ago, and it was 2011. So he's been off for a while and come back and shown that he's got a lot of ability. So really good race.
I have to say, the way that me and Callum spoke about our horses tomorrow, I think I'm going to be seeing you in the poorhouse tomorrow evening.
Yeah, it could be bad tomorrow. Yeah, it really could be.
We'll either be in the Bahamas or we'll be in the poorhouse eating soup.
Just going back onto last year, that Mad Moose and Junior, I just remember Simon Holt saying Mad Moose and Junior having their own slightly resentful battle for last. That was one of the best commentaries ever.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was. I think that's all I'm willing to say about that bit. Funny but interesting. But that's all our races covered for tomorrow. Michael, you have a naughty luck 15, I hope.
Yeah, I do. Okay. We've gone with Dick Whittington in the first, bit obvious, kind of. Then we've got One Pursuit in the next race, I think. Bottom weight in the Duke of Edinburgh. One Pursuit, you can probably imagine what that means. And then we've got a couple ones that are pretty good. Racy in the handicap. That is the word used to describe Adam's dress sense. And in the last race, we have Whiplash with Willie, which describes a very painful car accident.
Speechless for once. I'm not sure how a painful car accident is in any way sexual. If anything, it's a catastrophe.
Oh, definitely. I just thought that kind of worked.
You saw Whip and went for that, didn't you?
And Willie.
Before we go into that, it's just a question, a fancy open wheel bowler. The Ascot nap is unoriginal with, guess who, guys?
Slade Power?
Slade Power!
Yay!
Everyone is on Slade. Why is it 7-2? Everyone fancies it. Like, surely...
Let it drift. Just let it drift.
Yeah, it should be on John, surely, if everyone fancies it.
It should be at least 7-4, and at the very least.
Yeah. The overall nap for him is XX in the 5:15 at Newmarket, which I've looked through, and I'm not willing to comment on that race. It's just got so many horses that I've backed at some point in their career. Joe Packett, maybe I'd take, but I always try and take on Will's fancy, and I always lose against Will's fancy.
Apart from Three's Grand.
Yeah, Three's Grand being the most memorable one, and I don't think I'll be following him in on XX tomorrow, but Visor first time, fair enough. Have you guys got any questions sent to you, or?
Let me just look through. Stale has asked. He said he sent a couple of questions to you, Callum. So you may have to.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, regarding the Gosden horse in the Chesham. Said that he liked him, but thought the O'Brien horse was probably deserving favourite and probably won, but thought he had a decent chance, and then it was price wise. So.
He asked me about the Mick Shannon horse in the first Juventus. He won at Newmarket. I think he'll improve next year. She'll improve, sorry, next year. I don't think she'll be... well, I can't really say experienced, but I just don't think this should be good enough to win the Chesham. But I think next year she'll be a nice horse, so, yeah. He also asked you about, I think, Glenn Moss and something else.
Oh, yeah. Phil Dintel said, really like Glenn Moss each way, and Whiplash Willie tomorrow. Family Guy reference there. So yeah, I don't know thoughts on both of them, but Glenn Moss I think is probably handicapped to the tilt.
I got another
over
question.
6 furlongs as well. And Whiplash Willie softer ground. But he's been quite trouble with his legs, so Whiplash Willie on faster ground I think could be vulnerable.
Yeah. I got another question, but this is when I said keep your questions coming in. And unfortunately, I added on the Duke of Edinburgh, which meant the handicap. But then Joe D'Souza went and asked, "Did you like his hat today?" I thought it was a lovely hat.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's a question. We appreciate it nonetheless. For naps tonight, I'm going to do it a bit differently.
Okay.
If you're napping Slade Power, put your hand in the air. Callum and Michael, they've got their hands in the air. The screen's froze.
Yes, they have.
They have. Yeah. Okay, so that leaves Adam.
Elidor,
of course it is. Of course it is.
Should we just put that in a double? There we go, and on the other hoof double. 3 like one, 1 likes the other, and then if I let you down and Slade Power goes and wins, then you can all just lynch me on Twitter.
I think I'll be leaving that double alone, to be honest, and just Power outright.
Alright then, fair enough.
But that brings the end of our broadcast tonight. Thank you for everyone that's watched the videos this week. It's been a long 5 days, but we'll be back next week after having I'd like to think well-deserved rest. Although I say that, I'm up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning to be on Bet Racing Nation, which should be fun. But don't forget to tune into that at Sky 212. And thank you very much, you three, for being with me on the Royal Ascot this year. Same time next year, I guess.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed myself this week. I'll say that.
It's been successful as well.
Only if I hold on to the tips competition. Because I've led throughout the whole week, and this is when I know I'm going to falter.
Well, I can safely tell you that Tom Wobby will not be winning with the. We saw his selections. None of them are over 12 to 1, so I don't think he'll be winning. Sorry, Tom.
Sorry. It's because he stopped watching our videos.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
his only winner has been an odds-on shot. So
Leading light, and Tom, and that is what Tom Wobby is not. He's not a leading light. But I hope tomorrow that us four are leading lights. From everyone here at On Your Wave, have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy the last day of Royal Ascot, and goodbye.
goodbye.